Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Kobylski, and we are going to read a story today called Old Tom. And Old Tom is written by Leigh Hobbs. Not only is he the author, but he's also the person who draws all the pictures, which is called the illustrator. So he has some very interesting look characters and characters. He's written a lot of different books. He lives in Australia, and we'll talk a little bit about him later. But let's talk about characters. If you were writing a book, what would you have your character look like? What would your character be thinking about? What kind of actions would your character have? What kind of words would your character say? All those things are his personality, so there's two parts of it. Not only is it by what we see, is your character short? Is your character tall? Is your character skinny? Is your character have blue eyes or brown eyes? Does your character have one eye? You never know. So those are the things you need to think about when you draw a physical trait of a character. But if you also have to think about, what does your character do? Like, what are their thoughts? What are their actions? What words do they have? What feelings do they feel? Those are also things that you need to think about when you create a character. So think about creating a character. And if you create a character for a book sometime later, or a story that you might want to write, draw a picture of it. Send it to me. I'd love to see it. Okay, so we are going to read our story today. Our story is called Old Tom, and I'm going to get that up here. And he is quite the character. So hopefully you can see this. What do you think of him? This is Old Tom right here. And I love Old Tom's little toy that he carries around with him all the time. It's a fish with no skin, just bones. Okay, so it says this book will make you laugh. This book made me laugh. I thought it was very cute. It's by Leigh Hobbs. Leigh Hobbs is a man, and he is an author. There are some other books that he's written. Old Tom Goes to Mars, Old Tom's Guide to Being Good, and Old Tom Goes to the Beach. So if you like this book, you can go to the library when they open up, and you can pick out maybe some of these other books. For Ann James and Jenny Milliken, a lot of times people dedicate books to other people that they care about. So if you wrote a book, who would you dedicate your book for? This book was written in 1994. Angela Throgmorton lived alone and liked it that way. One day, while doing some light dusting, she heard a knock at the door. Who could it be? There on her front steps was a baby monster. Angela was curious, so she carried him in and brought him up. Angela had never fed a baby before, and what a strange big baby he was. She called him Old Tom. Old Tom grew up very quickly. In fact, it wasn't long before he outgrew his playpen. And when he did, Angela gave him the spare room. It was all clean and neat. Good night. Angela taught Old Tom how to behave. Sit up straight, she would say, elbows off the table. Not too much on your fork. Chew with your mouth closed. There was so much to learn. But Old Tom loved bath time most of all, when he could splash about and make a mess. He always liked to look his best, especially when he went out to play. At first, Angela ignored Old Tom's childish pranks. After all, she had things to do and dishes to wash. But her heart sank when someone forgot his manners. Old Tom tried to be good, though sometimes he was a bit naughty. Aren't you a little too old for such things? Angela Throgmorton often asked. As the months went by, Angela tried to keep the house tidy. It wasn't easy, as Old Tom seemed to be everywhere. There was no doubt about it. He was a master of disguise. Sometimes Angela heard strange noises coming from the kitchen. And whenever she had guests, Old Tom would drop in unannounced. Old Tom was out of control. When will you grow up? Angela often muttered under her breath. Sometimes Old Tom went for a little walk to the mailbox, but Angela thought it best that he stay inside. You mustn't frighten the neighbors, she would say. When babies came to visit, Old Tom loved to play. Heavens, what is that in the carriage with my baby? Cried one of Angela's friends during afternoon tea one day. It was Old Tom, of course. Angela was extremely embarrassed. I'm terribly sorry about this. By now, Angela was having trouble sleeping. Her nerves were shattered. Ah, ah, ah. And Old Tom's fur had given her dreadful hay fever. Shoo! When she finally did fall asleep, Old Tom was often in her dreams. Angela longed for the good old days when her home was in order, with everything in place. Whenever it was time to help with the dishes, Old Tom felt sick. He liked to sleep in and enjoy a late breakfast in Angela's favorite armchair. Angela was fed up. Old Tom had to go. At last I have the house to myself, cried Angela Throgmorton. It was a bold move, but Angela thought it was for the best. Now she was free to scrub and polish, sweep, and mop. With Old Tom gone, her house would be spick and span once more. But now Old Tom was in town, where there were places to see and people to meet. In the pet shop nearby, he found new friends to play with. Some had feathers and one had fins. But Fluffy the puppy was Old Tom's favorite. In the cinema next door, the film had just started. The Grand Cinema, now showing Horror Head, the furry beast from beyond. When Old Tom wandered in, he was mistaken for a monster on the screen. Happyland. It was a wonderful surprise when Old Tom found Happyland. There were swings and slides, places to hide, children to play with, and an elephant to ride. Old Tom was having a lovely time. But not everyone was happy in Happyland. When darkness fell, Old Tom was alone. And when the storm came, he tried to be brave, even when the thunder boomed. For Old Tom, there was no breakfast or lunch or afternoon tea. While far away, Angela was alone in her clean, tidy home. Old Tom tried to find someone to play with, but he couldn't find one friendly face. There was no fur on her floor, But Angela still couldn't sleep, and neither could old Tom. He had nowhere to go and nothing to eat, until at last he found food at the bottom of a trash can, where he dreamed of his warm, safe bed. Angela was worried sick. Poor old Tom. The future looked bleak. Animal Pound. Suddenly, there was a news flash. Orange furry monster caught. That monster is my baby, cried Angela Throgmorton. In no time at all, she was off to the pound to rescue old Tom. Be quick, Angela shrieked. Inside the cage, old Tom had just begun to cry when suddenly he heard a big voice boom. I'm here for my baby! Angela was overjoyed. And so was old Tom. About the author, Leigh Hobbs. Leigh Hobbs was born in Melbourne in 1953. By the way, that is in Australia. But grew up in a country town called Barnstable. Leigh wrote and illustrated Horrible Harriet, which was shortlisted for the 2002 Children's Book Council of Australia Book of the Year Awards. In addition to the Old Tom's books, Old Tom Goes to Mars, Old Tom Goes to the Beach, and Old Tom's Guide to Being Good, Leigh has 2 dogs, a blue heeler and a kelpie. He feels no affinity with cats, with one notable exception. The end. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story. So again, if you draw a picture, you illustrate a picture of your character for a book you might write someday, please send me a picture of it and maybe write a few words and tell me all about it. Thank you for coming and listening. Have a great day. Bye.